What if I told you that some of the world's busiest airports have completely vanished without a trace? Welcome to American Memories, where today we're exploring 10 abandoned airports that once connected millions of passengers to destinations around the globe, but now exist only in faded photographs and forgotten memories. These weren't small rural airstrips that quietly closed down. These were major aviation hubs with towering control towers, sprawling terminals, and runways that welcomed everything from crop dusters to supersonic jets. Some served as gateways to entire nations. Others were the beating heart of their communities, and a few were so advanced they seemed decades ahead of their time. But today, they're gone forever, erased by urban development, reclaimed by nature, or simply abandoned to decay. So prepare for takeoff as we journey to 10 remarkable airports that once defined aviation history, but now serve as haunting reminders of how quickly the world of flight can change. Starting our countdown at number 10, we have Floyd Bennett Field in Brooklyn, New York, and this airport represents one of aviation's greatest transformations from triumph to abandonment. When it opened in 1931, Floyd Bennett Field was New York City's first municipal airport, featuring the most advanced facilities in the world. The airport boasted massive concrete runways, state-of-the-art hangars, and a beautiful Art Deco terminal that symbolized the golden age of aviation. This wasn't just another airport. Floyd Bennett Field was where aviation legends were born. Wiley Post began his record-breaking solo flight around the world from this very location. Howard Hughes landed here after setting transcontinental speed records. The airport served as the launch point for countless pioneering flights that pushed the boundaries of what was possible in the sky. But Floyd Bennett Field's glory days were surprisingly brief. As aircraft grew larger and required longer runways, the airport's limitations became apparent. The rise of LaGuardia and later John F. Kennedy airports drew commercial traffic away, and by 1941, just 10 years after opening, Floyd Bennett Field ceased commercial operations. The Navy took over during World War II, but even military use couldn't save this once proud facility. Today, the runways are cracked and overgrown, the terminal stands empty, and what was once New York's gateway to the skies serves only as a park where visitors can walk among the ghosts of aviation history. At number 9, we encounter Stapleton International Airport in Denver, Colorado, and this facility's story proves that even successful airports can vanish completely. For over 60 years, Stapleton was Denver's primary airport, handling millions of passengers and serving as a crucial hub for United Airlines. The airport featured multiple terminals, extensive cargo facilities, and 6 runways that accommodated everything from small private planes to massive cargo jets. Stapleton wasn't abandoned due to failure. Quite the opposite. The airport became so successful that it literally outgrew its location. Surrounded by residential neighborhoods, Stapleton couldn't expand to meet growing demand or accommodate the larger aircraft that were revolutionizing air travel. Noise complaints from surrounding communities created additional operational restrictions that further limited the airport's capabilities. When Denver International Airport opened in 1995, Stapleton closed forever after its final flight departed. But here's what makes this story remarkable. The entire airport was completely erased from existence. Every runway, terminal, and hangar was demolished and replaced with a master-planned community. Today, where jumbo jets once roared down runways, children ride bicycles through suburban neighborhoods. The only reminder of Stapleton's aviation legacy is the preserved control tower that now serves as a monument to an airport that handled over 30 million passengers, but no longer exists. Coming in at number 8 is Kai Tak Airport in Hong Kong. And this facility was famous for having one of the most challenging and dangerous approaches in commercial aviation. Located in the heart of Hong Kong's urban area, Kai Tak required pilots to navigate between towering skyscrapers before making a dramatic right turn just seconds before touchdown. The approach was so notorious that it became known as the Kai Tak Heart Attack among pilots worldwide. Despite its challenging location, Kai Tak was incredibly busy, serving as the primary gateway to Asia for decades. The airport handled massive Boeing 747s and other wide-body aircraft on a single runway that extended into Victoria Harbor, on reclaimed land. Passengers could literally see into apartment windows during their final approach, making Kai Tak one of the most memorable airport experiences in the world. But Kai Tak's unique location that made it famous also sealed its fate. The airport couldn't expand due to surrounding mountains and urban development, and the dangerous approach became increasingly problematic as air traffic increased. When the new Hong Kong International Airport opened at Chek Lap Kok in 1998, Kai Tak closed immediately after 73 years of operation. Today, the former runway serves as a cruise ship terminal, but the iconic approach pattern and dramatic landings that made Kai Tak legendary are gone forever, existing only in the memories of pilots and passengers who experienced one of aviation's most unique airports. Number 7 brings us to Meigs Field in Chicago, Illinois, and this airport's destruction remains one of the most controversial and dramatic airport closures in aviation history. Located on Northerly Island, just off downtown Chicago's lakefront, Meigs Field was perfectly positioned to serve business travelers and private aircraft. The airport featured a single runway and served as a crucial reliever facility for Chicago's major airports. Meigs Field wasn't just convenient, it was beloved by the aviation community. The airport offered stunning views of the Chicago skyline and provided quick access to the city center that no other facility could match. Corporate executives, politicians, and aviation enthusiasts all relied on Meigs Field for its unique location and efficient operations. But Meigs Field became the center of a heated political battle between Chicago's mayor and the aviation community. In March 2003, Mayor Richard Daley ordered crews to destroy the runway in the middle of the night without warning, stranding several aircraft that were parked at the airport. The dramatic destruction involved bulldozers carving giant X patterns into the runway, making it unusable overnight. The mayor claimed the closure was necessary for security reasons and to create parkland, but many suspected it was simply to eliminate a facility he had long opposed. Today, Meigs Field has been completely erased and replaced with a nature preserve, but the controversial manner of its destruction ensures it will be remembered as one of aviation's most dramatic and sudden losses. At number 6, we encounter Berlin Tempelhof Airport in Germany, and this facility represents one of aviation's most architecturally significant losses. Built by the Nazi regime in the 1930s, Tempelhof featured one of the largest buildings in the world, a massive terminal complex that could accommodate the largest aircraft of any era. The airport's distinctive canopy design and enormous scale made it an architectural marvel that influenced airport design worldwide. Tempelhof gained international fame during the Berlin Airlift of 1948-1949, when Allied forces used the airport to supply West Berlin during the Soviet blockade. For nearly a year, aircraft landed at Tempelhof every few minutes, delivering food, fuel, and supplies to keep the city alive. The airport became a symbol of freedom and determination, proving that aviation could overcome even the most challenging political obstacles. Despite its historical significance and continued operational success, Tempelhof closed to commercial traffic in 2008 due to noise restrictions and the opening of Berlin-Brandenburg Airport. The massive terminal building still stands, but the runways that once welcomed everything from transport aircraft during the airlift to modern commercial jets are now silent. Tempelhof has been converted into a public park where people can walk, bike, and picnic on former runways, but one of aviation's most historically important airports no longer serves its intended purpose. Number 5 introduces us to Idlewild Airport. Wait, you might say, that's John F. Kennedy Airport, which is very much still operating. But here's the fascinating truth. The original Idlewild Airport that opened in 1948 has been completely erased and rebuilt multiple times. The Idlewild that welcomed the first commercial jet flights to New York, that featured the iconic TWA Flight Center and Pan Am Worldport, no longer exists in its original form. The original Idlewild was designed for propeller aircraft and featured a unique layout with separate airline terminals scattered around the airport's perimeter. Each airline built its own distinctive terminal, creating an architectural showcase that represented the glamour and optimism of the jet age. The TWA terminal, designed by Eero Saarinen, looked like a bird in flight and became one of the most photographed buildings in the world. But as aircraft grew larger and passenger volumes increased, the original Idlewild layout became inefficient and outdated. Terminal after terminal was demolished and replaced, runways were extended and reconfigured, and the entire airport was gradually transformed. While JFK Airport continues to operate on the same site, the original Idlewild Airport, with its distinctive terminals and mid-century modern design aesthetic, has been almost entirely erased. The glamorous airport that symbolized the dawn of the jet age exists now only in vintage photographs and nostalgic memories of aviation's golden era. At number 4, we have Munich-Riem Airport in Germany, and this facility's story demonstrates how even well-designed, successful airports can become obsolete. Munich-Riem served as Bavaria's primary airport for decades, featuring modern terminals, efficient operations, and excellent connections to downtown Munich. The airport handled millions of passengers annually and was considered one of Europe's better-designed facilities. Munich-Riem's location near the city center made it incredibly convenient for travelers, and the airport developed a reputation for punctuality and efficiency that made it popular with both airlines and passengers. The facility expanded multiple times to accommodate growing traffic and larger aircraft, proving that it was operationally successful and financially viable. But Munich-Riem fell victim to the same urban encroachment that claimed many city center airports. Surrounded by residential development, the airport faced increasing noise restrictions that limited operations and prevented further expansion. When Munich Airport opened at a new location in 1992, Munich-Riem closed immediately after decades of successful operation. Today, the former airport site has been completely redeveloped as a residential and commercial district. The runways where Lufthansa jets once departed for destinations around the world are now covered by shopping centers, office buildings, and apartment complexes, erasing all traces of what was once one of Europe's busiest airports. Coming in at number 3 is one of aviation's most poignant losses, Ellinikon International Airport in Athens, Greece. This airport served as Greece's primary international gateway for over 60 years, welcoming millions of visitors to ancient Athens and the Greek islands. Ellinikon featured multiple terminals, extensive facilities, and the infrastructure to handle the largest aircraft in service. The airport gained international attention during the 2004 Summer Olympics when it served as the primary arrival point for athletes, officials, and spectators from around the world. Ellinikon's location near central Athens and the Mediterranean coast made it not just functional but genuinely scenic, with passengers enjoying views of both the city and the sea during their arrivals and departures. But Ellinikon's story took a dramatic turn after the 2008 financial crisis devastated Greece's economy. The new Athens International Airport had already replaced Ellinikon as the city's primary facility, leaving the old airport without a clear purpose. Economic constraints prevented redevelopment, and the once bustling facility was simply abandoned. Today, Ellinikon stands empty and decaying, its terminals filled with broken glass and graffiti, its runways cracked and overgrown with weeds. The airport that once symbolized Greece's connection to the world has become a haunting monument to economic collapse, with nature slowly reclaiming what was once one of Europe's busiest aviation hubs. Number 2 brings us to one of the most dramatic airport disappearances in aviation history, the original Los Angeles International Airport Terminal Complex from the 1930s through 1960s. While LAX continues to operate and expand today, the original airport that defined Los Angeles aviation has been completely erased by decades of reconstruction and modernization. The original LAX featured the iconic theme building with its distinctive space-age architecture, the elegant terminals that welcomed Hollywood stars and international dignitaries, and the palm tree-lined approaches that made arriving in Los Angeles feel like entering paradise. This was the airport that served as backdrop for countless movies and television shows that defined the glamorous image of air travel in America's entertainment capital. But the original LAX couldn't accommodate the massive growth in air travel that transformed Los Angeles into a global city. Terminal after terminal was demolished and replaced, runways were extended and multiplied, and the entire airport was gradually rebuilt around ever-increasing passenger volumes. The graceful, human-scaled airport that epitomized mid-century modern design was replaced by a massive, efficient complex, optimized for moving millions of passengers as quickly as possible. While some elements like the theme building have been preserved, the original LAX airport experience, the sense of arrival, the architectural elegance, the human scale that made air travel feel special, has been lost forever. Today's LAX is undoubtedly more functional, but the airport that made Los Angeles synonymous with glamorous air travel exist now only in old Hollywood films and faded photographs. Finally, at number 1, we have the most comprehensive airport disappearance of all, the entire network of smaller municipal airports that once served communities across America. In the 1940s and 1950s, nearly every American city of any size had its own municipal airport with scheduled airline service. These weren't tiny grass strips. They were legitimate airports with paved runways, terminal buildings, and regular passenger flights connecting small communities to the larger aviation network. Towns like Abilene, Texas, Bakersfield, California, and hundreds of others had their own airports served by major airlines flying DC-3s, Convairs, and other aircraft that could operate from shorter runways. These airports were community gathering places where families came to watch planes arrive and depart, where local businesses relied on air connections for commerce, and where aviation felt accessible to ordinary Americans living outside major metropolitan areas. But as airlines shifted to larger, more efficient aircraft that required longer runways, these smaller community airports became obsolete overnight. The jets that revolutionized air travel couldn't operate from the shorter runways that served smaller cities, forcing airlines to consolidate operations at fewer, larger airports. One by one, these community airports lost their airline service, and many were eventually closed and redeveloped. Today, most of these airports have vanished completely. Shopping malls, housing developments, and industrial parks cover runways where passengers once boarded flights to distant cities. The democratization of air travel that briefly made aviation accessible to small-town America lasted only a few decades before economic forces concentrated air service at major hubs, leaving countless communities without the aviation connections they once took for granted. So there you have it, 10 abandoned airports that no longer exist, each representing a different chapter in aviation's constantly evolving story. From New York's first municipal airport to the community airfields that once connected small-town America to the world, these facilities remind us that even the most successful airports can become obsolete when technology, economics, or politics change the rules of aviation. What's truly striking is how completely these airports have disappeared. Unlike abandoned buildings or unused infrastructure that often remains visible for decades, airports require so much valuable land that they're typically redeveloped immediately after closing. The runways where countless passengers began journeys to distant destinations are now covered by suburbs, shopping centers, and parks, erasing nearly all evidence of their aviation heritage. These lost airports also represent lost opportunities and vanished experiences. The convenience of downtown airports like Meigs Field, the architectural beauty of terminals like the original TWA Flight Center, and the community connections provided by small-town airports are experiences that today's travelers will never enjoy. Progress in aviation has brought us larger, more efficient, and safer air travel, but it has also cost us some of the charm and accessibility that made flying special for earlier generations. What do you think? Do you remember flying through any of these vanished airports, or have you heard family stories about air travel in the era when every community had its own airport? Are there any abandoned airports in your area that have been converted to other uses? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always fascinated by stories of aviation infrastructure that once connected our communities but now exists only in memory. If you enjoyed this journey through aviation's lost gateways, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our explorations into the fascinating world of American memories. Until next time, remember that every airport has a story. And sometimes the most interesting stories belong to the airports that no longer exist to tell them.